What's up, everybody? Happy 4th of July Eve. Actually, we're like literally an hour away from fireworks. Actually, already heard some fireworks right here. Tony Cutillo here off the Tony Cutillo Show. Obviously, make sure you hit that like, make sure you hit that subscribe, everything that you could do to continue to show support and get involved in the conversation. Now, I'm actually a little surprised that we're talking about this. I wasn't going to talk about this, but I feel like it has to be talked about. I feel like it has to be talked about. And, you know, Bryce Harper, no matter what's up, Adam, checking in. Bryce Harper, no matter what you say, I always feel like it's never going to be good enough in Philadelphia. So Bryce Harper's Philadelphia legacy, an early look. And this has been talked about all day. So it's been talked about all day, and why not? Let's talk about it on here because I honestly think at first, the first sight to me was, wow, this is ridiculous. It's all about clickbait. It's all about getting clicks. I honestly, the first thing I thought about was it's all about getting clicks. But then I really started to diagnose it and I really started to digest it a little bit. And I'll be honest with you, man. The crazy thing to me is to know that out of what 2,400 votes today on WIP, that 53% say that he should not be on the Phillies Mount Rushmore. That it's too soon. That we shouldn't be talking about it. And that's what brought me up about the legacy. And some of the comments I think are a little bit crazy, right? I do. A lot of people are talking about if people are fanboys, you need to win a World Series first. You need to help us win, man. I think we have to get out of this ring culture. I've been talking about it before. I continue to talk about it. Stop living in the ring culture atmosphere. We need to stop doing that because when you're living in ring culture, you are limiting all your perspective. You really are. And I think you just have to look at where this franchise was. And also, let's think about this. You could be the question of, when you're taking an early look at Bryce Harper's legacy, what would happen if we were talking about an early look at Manny Machado's legacy? What happens if it wasn't Bryce Harper and it was Manny Machado? Was Manny Machado give us the moments that Bryce Harper did? See, I always look at this in so many different ways. Again, if you're listening right now, check in. Let me know how you feel. Is it too early to look at Bryce Harper's Philadelphia legacy? Is it too early for you? What are you feeling right now? And I think a little differently than the most. And the reason why I say that is because if you follow my youth sports pod, Fighting for Overtime, and if you don't, make sure you get over there and you follow that Fighting for Overtime sports podcast. It's for youth sports. And I always talk about memories and moments. I talk about Bryce Harper. Let's talk about memories and moments. Let's talk about a lot of different things that aren't being mentioned. Let's talk about playing with a torn UCL and deciding, you know what? I'm going to play as long as I can DH. And I'm going to learn a new position for this team. Right? So many different times this guy has stepped up in so many different ways. Put the Philadelphia Phillies franchise on his back. Put the Philadelphia franchise on the map. Whether we like him or not, whether we like Trey Turner, whether we want to be happy about his signing, which I think the people that are talking about Trey Turner being a bust now, I think is a little extreme, especially knowing that he has the most hits ever at this time, early in the season at this time for his entire career. He's having an unbelievable year, but we're not even looking at that. That's one of the issues. But he's not even here if it's not Bryce Harper. Certain pitchers, again, Zach Wheeler, maybe Zach Wheeler decides not to extend himself right here in Philadelphia if there's no Bryce Harper. Bryce Harper, if anybody is a Philadelphia Philly athlete, it's Bryce Harper. If anybody is a Philadelphia basically what like a transforming from Washington to Philadelphia, it's Bryce Harper. Now, if you look at the people that want to say no, are they the same people that are all over Chase Utley? Are they the same people that are all in the Chase Utley crowd? Right? There's another one. Tommy checking in says there is no Schwarber without Harper. 100%. Like, people get a little too carried away with the championship because last time I checked, and you could punk me on this, okay? Because I know I'm right. Last time I checked, Bryce Harper wasn't the reason why we haven't won a World Series. Bryce Harper had give us more moments in the playoffs than anybody on this squad. Okay. And the funny thing is, people, instead of talking about that, they're talking about, well, we didn't win. He doesn't have a ring. So he can't be on Mount Rushmore. He can't be on Mount Rushmore. I mean, these people are ridiculous. Sometimes the people in Philadelphia, listen, I am a Philadelphia person, but some of them are just insane. They really are. They really don't look at this logically. They don't. And if they do, it's because, or I should say, if they don't, it's because they want traffic, they want hits. But this is a realistic question, and I will say the reason why it's realistic. And again, I'm on the side that says that he is on Mount Rushmore right now, right? Is that he's had so much impact on this team now from the time he signed to now. I would say he's had more impact in the last 5 years than any other Phillies ever had on the squad. And I'm not ashamed to say it, man. I'm sticking by it. I think he's had more impact on the squad than I've seen possibly ever. Comes over. It's the first of those big time 310, 13, 14, $15 million, or I should say 15-year deals. All right. It's one of the first. He played it the way he wanted to. He put in specific parameters of a contract that he wanted to. We all loved him for it. He plays his ass off every day. He gives it everything he got. This guy's also 32 years old. And unfortunately, I will say this, that the window was starting to close a little bit. Right? It's starting to close a little bit. And I think this might be why people are starting to talk about this. Bryce Harper, if he doesn't win this year, and I would say next year, I'll be honest with you, man. I don't think he ever becomes that best player on a World Series team that he's been the last 3 years. He was the best player in 2023, right? When you think about it, he was the best player. And, you go back in that San Diego NLCS. I mean, does anybody give you any more moments than Bryce Harper? I don't think so. Adam says Harper's legacy is going to be a Hall of Famer in a World Series or two, something Embiid will never accomplish. Interesting. Now we bring the Joel Embiid saga into it, right? Now there's a guy who I don't think has a legacy. There's a guy who's not on Mount Rushmore. A guy that's on a Mount Rushmore right now is 100% Bryce Harper. Vegas checking in. What's up, Vegas JTG or TJG? I'm sorry. A little backwards tonight. Says Bryce was him as a teenager. He was on the Vegas news during baseball season all the time. 19 years old, man. He's been in the league since he's been 19. It's crazy when you think about it. At 32 years old, he's already been in the league for 10 plus years. And I say that because it's everybody knows I'm a big wrestling fan. And when these wrestlers, when they get older and they get out of their prime, it's usually in their 40s, and everybody jumps and like, oh, what they look at you, they're like, that's ridiculous, man. Like, what are you talking about? Like, look at a guy like AJ Styles that was wrestling in New Japan at 18 years old. By the time he's 40, he's been in in the ring for 22 years. That's a lot, a lot of damage to his body. That's the crazy part. Rich checks in and says, Harper is a Philly guy. Just a shame about the injuries he got. Turner, JT, Wheeler to come here. Harper has been clutch in Philly, especially in the playoffs. Like I said, Rich, I think you agree. Again, he hasn't been the reason why they lost. I mean, it's very simple. Tommy makes a great statement here. I like this. He says, he is the most reliable Philly ever. The most reliable Philly, the impact in the game, biggest moments. He has someone who also wants those memories. He's someone who wants that back. He's someone who wants the spotlight. He is the guy. He wants it on his shoulders, man. Batting average, 325 home runs. This is in the playoffs, okay? 325, 12 homers, 24 RBIs, 29 runs scored, OPS of 1.047 in 34 games. Look at this right there, my man Rich. That's playoff right there. That's postseason numbers. Postseason. We're not talking about a guy who showed up and couldn't hit. We're not talking about a guy who showed up and couldn't play. This is postseason numbers. How is that not Mount Rushmore worthy? How is that not a legacy all by itself? It beat is old time. What if the injuries didn't happen? Yeah, man. I mean, I think he will always come up short. And I think that obviously we know the year against Toronto, the Kawhi shot, that was the year, man. That was the year. And I think it's been downhill ever since. And that's the only thing I get worried about with Bryce Harper. I will tell you that's the only thing I get worried about Bryce Harper is this wrist injury is bothersome to me. It is, because it's not because it's a wrist. It's not because he swings a bat more violently than anybody else. It's because his body isn't healing the way it used to. And when that happens, we all know, listen, we all been here. Every one of us on this chat, everyone I'll put on this stream, we've all been here. Father Time and Mother Nature are undefeated, man. They're both undefeated. It's their world. We're just living in it. And when Father Time steps up to the plate and says, no mas, right? No mas. Guess what? Starts to go downhill. And Bryce Harper saying, look, we got to a point with the wrist where it just wasn't getting any better. Wasn't really, we just had to roll with it. And it has to be managed. But you have to start managing injuries instead of letting them heal. That's a sign that prime is almost gone. And that's what scares me, because I don't want to be sitting here 5 years from now and say, damn, we wasted Bryce Harper. And unfortunately, it's not going to be Bryce's fault. It's not going to be Bryce's fault. And that's the sad part, because Bryce did everything he needed to do. And then some. He single-handedly sent us into the World Series against the San Diego Padres. Single-handedly sent us in the World Series. Rhys Hoskins was unbelievable. And that series was won with Bryce Harper. A guy, by the way, who decided that I'm going to forego season-ending surgery and play all year, even though I can't play in the outfield. That's a guy who, we always cheer for in this town. That's the kind of player that we always want to root for in this town. We love AI. Why do we love AI? Because no matter his size, no matter his work ethic, he left everything on the court no matter what. Play through pain, play through adversity. He never stopped. That's what we love AI. So why do we not give Bryce Harper the same just due? Bryce Harper leaves everything on the field. Bryce Harper, a $300 million player, $330 million player, decides, you know what? I'm going to learn a new position because that's the only way I can stay on the field. That's pretty damn impressive. That's really, really impressive. And that's another thing that we don't talk about enough. We're here talking about rings. We're here talking about championships, but we're not talking about the moment. We're not talking about the drive. We're not talking about the character. Listen, how about the culture of Bryce Harper? How about the culture that Bryce Harper has given to that team? We're not talking about that. We're not talking about that because, again, we're all worried about the damn rings. We're all worried about the damn rings. Rich says as you get older, injuries take way longer to heal. Father Time, the only undefeated person in history, man. 100%. Tommy says, wasted Bryce is crazy. He got us to the World Series. He got us to the NLCS, a division title. Remember Bryce signed when Kapler was the manager. That just shows how much he wanted to be here. It's a great point. He knew. Listen, man, he knew Kapler sucked. He knew. But he also knew that he wasn't going to be here long. Meaning Kapler, right? He knew Gabe Kapler was going to be gone. But Bryce just knew this felt right. This situation felt right for him. He knew this was a blue-collar town. He knew that with his dad being a blue-collar iron worker, he understood. He got it. And he'll always understand. And I think a lot of people, they look at him and say maybe he should say a little more. Maybe he should do a little more. And I'm going to be honest with you, man. I don't know how much more that Bryce Harper can do. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know how much more Bryce Harper can do. Because Bryce Harper is literally leaving everything on the line. And I'm going to say this again, man. No matter what you think his legacy is, no matter what you think of him from a Mount Rushmore status, okay, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. What matters is that Bryce Harper gave you everything he could and gave you every opportunity, man. Rich says Philly loves guys who leave everything on the court. Field, rink, court. Harper needs to be loved here. I you know what, Rich? I think he is for the most part. I just think it's some people that sometimes they can't get their head out of their ass. I don't know why. Vegas says Bryce gives 100%. That's why he gets so pissed when the unspoiled calls. Yes, that's a great point, Vegas, because these guys work so hard at their craft. These guys work so hard to be perfectionists. They work so hard to produce. And when a missed call happens, even though they understand that umpires are human, they get down, man. They get pissed because they know that could change the perspective of an entire game. Look, that changes the perspective of an entire World Series, possibly. We didn't win. So right away, we want to blame it on Bryce Harper, right? It's ridiculous. Tommy says, do you think his answers about his love for Philly is real or just to make us happy? That's a good question. That is a good question because I'm going to be honest with you. I was not the biggest Bryce Harper fan when he was in Washington. And I thought in the beginning, the reason why he came here was because it was kind of like low-hanging fruit that he thought, you know what? If I sign with Philly, I already know it's just going to be an easy sell. Like he knew he could wrap his head around a lot of different things with the work ethic. And again, I think he had a layup because remember it was him and Manny, and everybody hates Manny, right? Everybody thinks Manny's a bum. Everybody thinks Manny's a guy who takes shortcuts and a guy doesn't respect the game, whether that's true or not. Just this is the perception. So right away, Bryce Harper's going to come in and easily be the next coming of the good guy, so to speak. So I think he definitely had that low hanging fruit. But I'll say this, Tom, to be honest, I don't think he says it just to make us happy. I think he's matured in such a tremendous way. And I think, a lot of us, we've all been there. I mean, you're a lot younger than I am, but we've all been there where we were growing up and we took a lot of things for granted, right? We took a lot of things for granted. And a lot of times, in our younger days, we look at our parents, we look at our guardians, we look at our mentors, and sometimes we don't really respect everything they go through. And if you read about Bryce Harper's dad, again, what kind of the union blue collar worker, man. Guy that did his 9 to 5 every day. Okay, or his 7 to 3 or 8 to 4, packed his lunch, right? Worked the overtime when he had to, but they didn't sleep and made sure that his kid had the best things that money could buy. Everything he could, he gave everything to his kids, right? So I think at that time, in a way, Bryce probably didn't even respect that when he was a young kid, right? Like indirectly, I think he probably just took it for granted. And I think when he came to Philly and he saw so many people that were like his dad, so many people that he said, wow, these kids over here, man, look them up to their dad, man. I remember, maybe did I take my dad for granted? Did I take it? And I think that when he really looked at it, it really defined himself, as a different player. And I think that soon as that clicked, it gave him a connection with the fan base, a silent connection, basically, that we're not aware of. And I think because of that silent connection, he right from that instance just changed his tune a little bit. And I think that he got it and he understood. And I think that's why I think it's real. I that's why I think it comes from a good place. I think he understands the booze. He understands the passion. He does. He understands it. Because what's funny? Here's what I'll say. I think he's us. I think he feels it too. You think when he's sitting there in the clubhouse and they just go up 4-3 and the bullpen blows a lead, Strom comes in and gives up a couple hits, you think he ain't pissed off? You think he don't want to go out there and rip the dude's hat off or rip his hair out? Of course he does. Of course he does, because he feels it. He's saying to himself, you got to be ridiculous, man. I just busted my ass, go out there and make that play. You just gave it up in 30 seconds. Of course he does. He's like us. He feels it. He lives it. So I think right there is why I feel like it is all real. I do. Japan says, Tony, you're the man. Japan, you're the man, brother. I hope you have a happy 4th to you and your family as well, to you and the family as well, man. Hopefully there's some safe fireworks out there, some good food tomorrow, and everybody's enjoying Japan as always. Tommy wants to know, what's your top favorite Bryce moments? Wow. That's a hard one. I don't think there's a better moment on Bryce Harper when he hits the home run in the NLCS, right? I do think, to me, in a Philly moment, just the electricity, just the aura of him coming up to the plate in that moment. We all knew what was happening. We felt it, right? We all felt it. And I think that moment right there, and no matter what game winning runs, it doesn't matter. I don't care about upper deck shots. I don't care about any of that. I care about that typical Bryce Harper swing to the opposite field. We knew it was gone. And yeah, the Cubs walk on that. Remember that. I get it, right? I do get that, man. I definitely do get that. But I just think that, him running around, there was a couple things during that home run that I loved about it. Number one, listen, he knows. Give it to him at the end, right? He gives you the sign. But also the quick stare down of Manny Machado a little bit, because Manny did a couple things before that were a little unsportsmanlike, so to speak, that people don't remember. So I like that part too. Like basically, yo, dude, this is my house, right? Bryce said this is my so that home run right there. So many defining moments on that hit, the trot, and and the emotion coming back. So I love that moment. Um, Bryce is one of those guys. JT, Vegas TJG says, Vegas is one of those guys you hate when he's not on your team, but when he is, you love him, kind of like Dennis Rodman. I agree, man. I do. I completely agree. I say all the time. There's so many players in whether it be the NBA, the NHL. There was guys in the NHL when I used to watch hockey back in the day that we hated. Guy like a Matthew Barnaby, guy like a Chris Chelios, Ty Domi, right? We hate those guys in Philadelphia, but guess what? We would love them if they were on our squad, right? It's the same thing, man. We did not love Bryce Harper, but guess what? When he came here and showed that he was him and he bought in, yes, we love Bryce Harper. Vegas says, I like this. He says, Tommy, mine is him hitting a homer onto US 95 when he had a game at Western High School. It had to be 525 feet. Wow, that's a memory. I like that. Definitely. My man Albert checking in. Albert checking in says, happy 4th to you and the family. As always, brother, you too. At you too. Appreciate all that you do. And he says, what or who do you want the Phillies to get by the trade deadline? It's a good question. Everything. Nah, listen, to kind of summarize this up, not to talk about any individual players, but my biggest knock continues to be the inconsistencies in offense. And I think until you shake that up, I don't think that you can go any farther. So I think that Dombro, and I know it's not Dombro's MO. Okay. Dombro's never, crazy aggressive at the trade deadline. Right. He always tinkers and makes little moves. But I think this is the year that I think he's seeing what we see. And I think he has to understand that the window's closing, man. It's closing with some of your players. So I think, listen, he needs a right-handed power bat. He needs a right-handed power bat. I mean, it's very simple. That has to be a right-handed power bat. Needs to be a priority for the Philadelphia Phillies. It's just simple, very very simple. Has to be a right-handed power bat. And I do as these days go on, and the rumors are out there. I think Nick Castellanos is getting moved. I know a lot of people are going to love that, but I'm a Casty guy. I love his attitude. He's a guy that can be counted on every single day, whether you like him or not. I know he does some things that maybe you're not always happy with, but overall, I think he's been a tremendous player for the Philadelphia Phillies. And I think he has a big locker room presence. However, I do think that thing with him and Topper, it's still lingering. And I think some of the comments that he came out with, meaning Nick, and some of the stuff on social media, I do think that rubbed some players and the organization the wrong way a little bit. And I do look at times that possibly, if you took Nick out of the lineup and added, a different style of hitter, I think possibly that lineup gets a little better. But we'll see. But it's definitely going to be, it's got to be a top tier power back, guys. It's like a lot of people when you watch the Dodgers last year, even though they had the studs and Ohtani and Freeman, the one guy that basically won everything for him was Teoscar Hernandez. He was that difference maker in the middle of the lineup, the guy that came in that nobody thought about. The guy that had all the power from the right-handed side. So I think that's what the Phillies need, man. That's the Phillies need. And then they definitely need a back-end bullpen guy. But the problem is you need a different mindset too. So you got to get the back-end bullpen guy. And I still think Kerkering is your closer. And I do. And I, for the love of God, I don't understand why Rob Thompson cannot anoint one guy as the closer. I still don't, especially when you're a younger pitcher who needs that consistency. We stop tinkering with the Matt Strom thing in the ninth. I've had enough of Matt Strom. Okay. It is Orion Kirkering that he is your guy. To me, he's your main guy, the bullpen. But I think you also have to get another arm just as strong or even stronger to really feel comfortable knowing that you are going to be in a playoff run. You are going to be in a playoff race. You damn sure better make the playoffs. And unfortunately, you're not going to have Jose Alvarado, right? I think we all know that. Yeah, Rich says he stared at Machado the whole way around on that homer. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Go back and look at it, man. He stared at Manny all the way around, man. Him and Manny were talking. Okay. He was talking. Basically, that was like, yo, this is my house. This is my house. You're in my house now. Okay. This ain't PNC Park. You're in my house. And that's basically what he was saying. So I definitely love that. My man Sia checking in says, who on YouTube? He cracks me up. Who on YouTube carries a solo show better than Tony Cutillo? See it. I tell people all the time, man, I run solo. I don't mind. I tell people all the time, I don't need a partner. Listen, I'm not saying I don't want a partner. I'm just saying, listen, it is what it is. I tell you a funny story. I'll tell everybody because I like telling these stories. To see he's listening, he'll know exactly what I'm talking about. So when I used to do show on Sunday nights on Sirius, and you would get in, you would log in probably about 2-3 minutes before, put on mute, and you would have to wait for the other show to end, and then you would have about a minute and a half. So my show on Sirius, the one I would do on Sundays, was 7 to 9 at night. So 7:02 technically is when the first segment would begin, and a lot of times my partner would be late. At one time, my partner had an issue, wasn't his fault, to where he almost wasn't able to do the show. Now, Sirius loves two guy shows. That's what they love, the 2-man show. And because I don't think they realize that people can hold it down. Like I could hold a show down for 3 hours all by myself. I could. I could run it down. I could segment it up. I can give you breaks. I can do it all, man. It's simple. I love to talk. I don't shut the hell up sometimes. So when I got there, before this one happened, I always tell the producers, listen, this guy's late. Don't worry about it, dude. I could swing it. It's no big deal. If I got to do the whole episode by myself, no big deal. And I'm like, yeah, man, but I don't know. It's tough, and I'm like, trust me, I could do it. If it has to, I could do it. So the one time my partner had some issues with the family and he was running late. So we start off and the producer's going, yo, he's not here. He's not here. I said, don't worry about it. Let's just roll. Let's just roll. And he's like, you sure? I'm like, let's just roll. And we're good. So I did the first 2 segments. First segment's the longest at 17, 18 minutes. Then we take a break. Then I do another 10-minute segment. So I did about 28 minutes by myself. And after the show was over, the producer's like, damn, dude. He's like, all right. So when you say you could do it on your own, I got you now. Like, I get it. Right. He's like, no worries. Listen, no worries, man. Like, no stress, no nervousness, no. And that's not to sound cocky, just because, you get used to it over and over the years that, you kind of just buy into it, right? You kind of just buy into it, and you know what your strengths are, you know what your weaknesses are. So, yeah, Rich says I've seen him on here for multiple hours. We've talked football, basketball, hockey, WWE, bowling, LOL. Listen, when I get off of this stream, I'm gonna pop on, and I got some fantasy talk for the alternative edge, right? So I'm gonna be doing some alternative edge talk as well. I just talked about Caleb Williams last night. Tonight I want to talk about Patrick Mahomes and Jason Kelce. So a lot of good things. Then I'm going to be doing a lot of content for Odd Shopper coming up in the next week. And it sounds like me and my man Aton, are going to have a show together for football season. So I'm looking forward to that. 2 Philly guys that should be on the radio somewhere that aren't. No disrespect to everybody else, but two Philly guys who should be there, but still doing their own thing, and regardless, so it's all good. So we'll give you our perspective on here, which is fine. Listen, guys, seriously, I appreciate it. I appreciate all the comments. Nobody doesn't like Jigsaw. Tony's his own wingman. Listen, I just have fun, man. That's what I do. I have fun, and honestly, it's like if somebody said, "Yo, can you lock down a show for a couple hours?" Sure, no problem. You need notes? Nope. I don't need anything, man. We're good. I can figure it out. And that's the beauty of things. It's because you're a soccer fan, right? Well, I'm gonna kind of interrogate myself a little bit here, Eric. So yes, I am a soccer fan, soccer coach for years. Do I enjoy watching soccer? Sure. Do I religiously watch it? No. But he says you heard about Diogo Jota. No, talk to me, man. Talk to me. I did not. So let me know because I don't know if you're talking about something happened today, tonight. But yeah, let me know. Sia says it's such a skill. You know what, Sia? The funny thing, and can I just let me say something? I do have to say this because Sia's on here. And again, if you're not following at Sia Najad, make sure you get on on X. He's big on X, man. Like certain people are big on different platforms. Sia is big on X. So at Sia Najad, pull his name up right here. Go like his X account is his name at Sia Najad. I got to give Sia the ultimate praise because, and I actually just talked about Sia the other day. I was having a conversation with somebody, and they said, "Man, like you just don't stop." I said, "What do you mean?" They're like, "You're here, you're there, you're doing this, you're doing that." And I said, "Yeah, man. Like, the problem is, I don't think I was ever really explaining to everybody what I was doing." And that's a direct compliment to see it because, look, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I had a heart to heart with Sia probably a year ago, and whether I'm not asking Sia to agree or disagree, and I'm not asking anybody, but there's a lot of times in this business or whatever we call it that you watch and you listen and listen. I'm sorry, like it's hard for me to not say I think I'm better in some areas, right? And that's not to put anybody down, right? But it's just like I feel comfortable with myself and I'm very confident. And I always say, like, people used to say, you should stick to one thing. Why? Why? Why should I stick to one thing? Because guess what? Right now, whether it's Philly sports, whether it's national sports, whether it's fantasy, whether it's sports betting, whether it's be youth sports, guess what? Don't matter. I'll talk it all. So originally, I was like, man, I'm afraid to show. But why? Everybody used to be like, you need to go all in on one thing. But see, here's the thing. I think the uniqueness of myself and a lot of people, not just me, people that can talk more than just for sports, and very and who are educated on all four sports and can continue to carry conversation on different aspects of those sports. We talk about fantasy and sports betting as well. I think it's unique. So a lot of times I would listen and be like, damn, man, like how the hell do I not get that opportunity? How do I not get that opportunity? I must be doing something wrong. Maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe I pissed somebody off. I don't know. Right. So I remember having the conversation with Sia. And I was like, Sia, I don't get it, man. Like, I don't understand. Like, I'm just, I came to a point to where I was like, you know what? I think I'm just going to give all this shit up because, what's the point? And I started to like listen to myself. I was like, all right, but wait a minute. Like, what am I doing it for? Am I doing it for somebody else or am I doing it for me? So, but my biggest thing was, how do I not get noticed? How do people not know? And this is the conversation I would see. And she was like, listen, the only thing I could say to you is maybe you don't prop yourself out there enough. Maybe you don't pimp yourself out there enough. And I'm never really that guy, right? I hate being that guy. I don't like to be a prop guy. I love props in a betting market, but I don't like to prop myself up. And one thing that Sia said, well, maybe you should get yourself out there better. Meaning, like, maybe you should talk about more about what you do, promote yourself more. Do and you know what? He was right. He was right. Again, within that year, me being out there more, not just doing more content or more shows, but explaining to people what I do besides the sports element, from a marketing standpoint, from a public relations standpoint. I just took a role on with the Together We Dance Foundation. Shout out Mike Barnes for giving me that opportunity for kids that again are disabled and that have learning disabilities and things of that nature that should be included. And now I'm the director of communications. Now I'm helping plan events. I'm helping publicize events. That's what I do. As a consultant, walking into a dealership and, a high profile dealership and helping them understand how their marketing is wrong and what they could do to prop up different aspects of their game. It's what I do. Right. I never used to post that, but now I post it. This is what I do. So now people go, oh, well, this dude just don't talk on a microphone. No, actually, I do a lot of other things. And again, that's just more things added to my resume. But I enjoy it. That's what keeps me going. I can't sit still, man. I'm all over the place. So, until I had a conversation again with Sia, who only knew me for a couple years, just specifically through these kind of platforms, he hit the nail on the head right there. And if he didn't not give me that advice, and we all, and please understand something, we all need somebody, right? You're never, whether it's in this business or another business, you always need somebody, meaning somebody to bounce ideas off of. You always need that person. Who is your person? And that day, seeing a job was my person, and see, was spot on, man. He was spot on. Now again, listen, I still think I should have, my own time on Sirius, and I don't, but that's okay. Am I mad? No. Do I feel like I should hold my own? Absolutely. But it's okay. It's okay. There's a reason why people are where they are. There's a lot of stuff that goes on, and good and bad, right? Let's be honest, good and bad. But I can't control that, man. As I get older, I can control what I can control. I can control is giving the best kind of show that I can. So right now, that is the Tony Cutillo show twice a week. That is the Alternative Edge twice a week. That is a youth sports fighting for overtime pod once a week. Okay. And that's what I do. And then on the weekend, it's going to be a lot of odd shopper content, right? It's going to be a lot of odd shopper content when we talk about, getting ready for Sunday. So yeah, Vegas says Tony is the James Brown of Philly sports. I try, bro. I try, but I'm not just Philly. Like I'm not, and I will say one of the one of the biggest compliments I ever got was whether we like him or not. And I have my issues with some of the moves that he made within his company. Another guy that I greatly respect, and Vince Quinn, who did WIP for a long time, and now he's doing his own thing at SBX, down the Pyramid Club with podcasting. I was on his show a couple times, and me and him had conversations. And he's like, "Listen, man, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like, I haven't heard energy and like this since since Anthony Gargano." And I took that as an ultimate compliment, not because I always agree with the cuz, and not because I'm always in with Anthony Gargano, but because I respect that he stood the test of time. I do respect that he's been in the game, for X amount of time, and he continues to give that energy. So that was the ultimate compliment, man. So Eric says he's talking about Diogo Jota. He says he tragically passed away in a car accident involving him and his brother play for Liverpool. Yeah, I did read that. That was crazy, man. That was crazy. That was definitely crazy. Rich says, bro, you're all over everything. You have knowledge about all sports. And again, that's because that's all I did growing up, right? And I try to tell my kids, other kids, you use this like this phone. Uh, that's stop using it as a toy and use it as a reference. Use it as a strength because you have the ability to read and learn and watch anything that you want more than I ever did. And if you want to be in the sports arena, if you want to be able to really hold your own when it comes to sports debates, man, this phone, man, just use it and study. There's so much out there, so much more out there than there was when I was a kid. Really. Eric says, when will Painter be called up? Do you give Abel one more chance, or is he up for the rest of the season? Maybe he goes to the bullpen if he struggles again. I'll tell you what, man, they screwed that Abel thing up. I don't care what anybody says. They screwed the Mick Abel thing up. That the Mick Abel situation, I mean, that was, you talk about giving you everything right on a platter with Mick Abel. I mean, let's talk about it. I mean, this guy went from being a tier one trade asset to like tier three. So now people talk about tipping pitches. Now maybe his mechanics, maybe he has a confidence issue. That's bad, man. That's bad. And I think, Tommy, even though I agree with you. You say you think Abel is here just currently for teams to look at him for a trade. His trade value is really taking a hit. If you ask me, you have to strike why the fire's hot, man. You got to strike while that oven is brewing on 450, 500. And now you're only lit, you're lit that pilot probably like 275. You know, e- Especially if you want a big bat, man, a big bat. My man, you guys make me cry, bro. Seriously. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, man. Like, these are the nights where I get on here, and when the comments come in, and I really enjoy, a lot of this. It makes me at least understand that I actually am reaching, and people understand who I am, which is really really cool. Albert says, honestly, Tony, your show is entertaining, informative, and well done. You have great knowledge and a way to communicate it in an engaging, entertaining manner. It's a must follow show. I'm at Albert again. Albert, listen, Albert is number one, goes back to the Win Daily days. And I met Albert in the Win Daily Discord and on Win Daily shows that I was doing. And again, the cool thing about that at that time was, I was entering a different space and I never really been a part of. And I kind of had to find my way. I had to be different. I had to be unique. And in the beginning, I thought maybe I was trying a little too hard. And then I really just said, just be you. And that's what I did. I was just me, man. I was just me. So, and it worked out. And Albert's been great. I mean, and a, a great reference of mine, a friend of mine, and a hell of an accountant too. So if you need help or assistance, make sure you reach out to Albert as well. Gotta throw that out there too, man. My man knows what he's doing. Definitely. He definitely knows what he's doing. Got a really big track record. And again, he's a very knowledgeable sports guy himself who's had a lot of interesting things happen to him along the ways coming up, through the baseball system too. So thank you, Albert, for saying that. As always, I appreciate it. Tommy says, what are your feelings on Kepler's comments the other day? I hated it. I did. Like, honestly, I hated it. Like, and I don't care that he hit a home run. He could have hit two. And man, they were so unwarranted. They really were. Especially when you broke it down and were like, dude, you were playing 80% of the time anyway. Like, it's different if you have it's like all of a sudden now you think you're Kyle Schwarber. Like, listen, man, let's understand why. Tommy, you know as well as I do. And it's the way I look at things too. Does everybody understand why he made those comments? Does everybody understand why those comments were made? Two reasons. Two. Max Kepler. Exactly. You're hitting it, Tommy. Max Kepler signed a 1-year prove it deal. 1-year prove it deal. Okay. That's what he did. So there's two things going on. Number one, if he's not on the field, he can't maximize his value for more money in the offseason. Okay. Because now, we all know in baseball, these contracts are dictated by production and dictated by numbers and analytics. So if those numbers aren't there, his market value is going to be below what he predicts. So right away, this is all about Max Kepler, right? Max is like, yo, I need to get paid at the end of the offseason. And I can't get paid if I don't play. And again, Tommy says it was giving trade vibes. Of course, because he figures, you know what? If I'm not going to be able to play here, let me get traded and go somewhere else where I can play every day, even though you're almost playing every day here. Okay. And give me the opportunity so I can bump up my 200 average. Okay. And I can actually get somewhere that's marketable for my agent to get me some money. It's all about Max Kepler. I instantly, those comments to me instantly took me out of being a Max Kepler guy. I'll be honest with you. Easily took me out of that Max Kepler because I was in on Max Kepler in the offseason. I thought it was a great signing. Because it was a guy who was injured a little bit, a guy who's proved that he has 20, 25, 30 home run power, potential. And I thought in this lineup could be a really good find. Very underrated performer in the outfield. But those comments to me just showed, listen, it ain't about no ring with Max Kepler. Max Kepler wants to get paid. Very, very simple. And he took those comments and he said, you know what? I'm going to make this all about Max. And I'm going to make sure that somehow, some way, I either get more time, or I get out of here and get more time so I can get paid. Max is the me, myself, and I kind of guy. First, exactly. He is the me, myself, shout out De La Soul, me, myself, and I. He is that guy. Now, I wanted to say something. I'm not going to do it tonight, but hold on. Vegas says, I can't imagine being an agent of a guy that hit 200 trying to convince the team he is the guy they need. I mean, listen, exactly. You think about it, right? He's already putting his agent in a bad predicament. Now the agent's got to go and he's got to bring up all these different stats, right? So yeah, again, that was all about 100% Max Kepler and him getting paid. So Tommy says, what do you think we are going to, dude, this is the bad question, because I know nobody's going to like this answer, man. Nobody's going to like this answer, but, number one, you completely screwed up the Kyle Schwarber situation. You really, that was a bad one by Don, bro. That was bad. I'll be honest with you, I'm starting to wonder if Dave Dombrowski's hands are tied a little bit. I'm really starting to wonder that. I keep tying it to two guys, it's Trey Turner and Aaron Nola. And they got Middleton to go a little bit above and beyond to re-up Aaron Nola, to bring in Trey Turner, spent a lot of money. And up to this point, even though Trey's having a tremendous year, up to this year wasn't working out. And I'm wondering if Dombrowski was told, listen, pocketbook is closed, man. Wallet is closed. I've given you more than enough money to assemble a championship caliber team. And if you can't do it, then this is what we got. So that concerns me a little bit, but I could see it happening, right? But to get back to, are we going to lose? They're both gone, man. They're both gone. 100% both gone. I am a betting man, and I would say the over and under, like Schwarber to leave Philly, I think is like minus 200. Ranger Suarez is like minus 240. Okay, honestly, like you're making no money if you say they're going to leave. Because it's just not going to happen. The team, the way it's structured, is it's structured for Ranger to leave. It's structured for the next guys like a Christopher Sanchez to come in, a team controllable number. Jesus Luzardo for another year of team control. Andrew Painter, team control, right? You can't pay everybody. If you look at it, it's almost like, remember the Atlanta Braves in the 90s and who they decided were going to be their guys. It was Greg Maddux and Tom Glavine. Everybody else was, listen, I mean, think about the names, man. Browning Nagel at one time, right? Kevin Millwood, all these guys that came in, but it just they just had those two guys. And then when Glavine goes to the Mets and signs the Mets, now you're talking about Smoltz, but then they put Smoltz as a closer. So it's just, it's exactly the way that everything was supposed to happen. But I think it just happened a little too late, meaning Kyle Schwarber, if you think about it. Yeah, exactly. Tommy says Schwarber is out because the Phillies gave him a laughable extension price. Yeah, they lowballed him. They lowballed him, man. And I keep saying this, Tommy, that they got to read the room. They have to read the room. And I said this in the off season. You go back, it's on the Tony Cutillo page. Again, this is the Tony Cutillo Show. If you're not subscribed on the YouTube page, get over there right now. Subscribe, subscribe, comment away. I much appreciate it for everybody who's already a subscriber. Eric, I know you're already a subscriber, bro, so we're good. I know you're on Facebook right now, but that's all good. Schwarber bet on himself. I keep saying it. I said that this team revolved around Kyle Schwarber, and I continue to say that. There's not many players that in their 30s get better. There's not many players that in their 30s that are saying again that I'm going to get myself into better shape because I know I want to prolong my career. Okay, Kyle Schwarber, I used to think, I'm going to give you guys some nuggets here of the way my mind goes. So back in the day, there were two guys that I don't think get talked about enough. One guy for the quickest swing and one guy for the quickest hands. Okay. Quickest hands was Eric Davis, for my money. Along those same lines, quickest swing, okay, was Ron Gant. And I look at Kyle Schwarber right now, and I don't think there's a better, quicker, or more powerful swing in Major League Baseball than Kyle Schwarber. I don't. I really don't. And he has legitimately perfected this, in the past 3 years, and it's unheard of. Now, Kyle, again, he's not a guy who wants to blow the bank up. However, he's also a guy that could be extremely disrespected when he knows how the business works, but he also knows that sometimes you have to read the room. What I mean by reading the room is you already knew as an organization that Kyle Schwarber was going to bat down in the lineup, whether it be second, third, or fourth. Well, actually second or fourth, right? Because Bryce is always going to be third. You already knew that. And if you couldn't read between the lines and understand that his 70 RBIs last year can instantly become 120, you're an idiot, right? You're just an idiot. If you didn't realize that he was going to have more opportunities to bump up his stats. Remember what we talked about with Max Kepler? Same thing on the, on the reverse end with Kyle Schwarber. Kyle Schwarber knew his numbers were going to be 20% better, and they gave him a 20% lower price. So he said, all right, guys, screw you. The talks are off. I'm going to go out there, show you what I could do at this age, and I'm going to get more money. And if even it's not from you, it'll be for somebody else, it doesn't matter. So for me, for my money, he's gone, man. He's gone. Listen, they are not going to be able to keep him. Now, the only way, I will say this, the only way Kyle Schwarber is here is if Nick Castellanos is not. Hear me, seriously. Nick Castellanos cannot be here if Kyle Schwarber's here. And that's just, all I'm talking about is money. That's it. Because that money now that Castellanos would be getting now can go over to Schwarbs. And they're not going to sign JT Realmuto. Okay. You are looking at Rafael Marchand as your heir apparent is going to be the catcher next year. They're not going to sign JT Realmuto. So that money, again, is going to feed into Kyle Schwarber. But those two things have to happen. It has to happen. Okay. In order for Kyle to be here. I want Kyle here. Not many guys that I would say pay well into their thirds. Kyle Schwarber is that guy. He is the guy that shows that he can stay healthy. He's the guy that shows he continues to bring the clubhouse he is the calming force on that entire team. So he's like the father figure on that team. He needs to be that guy. So they're going to miss a lot if Kyle's not here. They are going to miss a lot. So Eric says, I disagree. He says Kyle Schwarber will leave. You think he's going to resign for 3 years? I hope you're right. And you're right. We can't let him go to the Mets or the Yankees. No, please, no. Tommy says Phillies window closes after this season. They have to go all in at the deadline. I will be outside the ballpark cheering for them to trade Bohm. So it's so crazy about Alec Bohm. I just tweeted this out the other day. I didn't realize he was 29. Like Alec Bohm, I had no idea he was 29. And listen, I'm not saying he's an old man, but what I'm saying is what you see with Alec Bohm is it. It's not going to get any better. Like you're seeing the ceiling of Alec Bohm. He's 29 years old. It's not changing. Now I see why they were trying to trade. It wasn't about his attitude or anything like that. It was saying they know what they had with Alec Bohm. Like, that's it. They don't want to tender him next year. They don't want to pay. They don't want to pay, right? So, yeah, I agree, man. Like, he's not the problem. He's not the problem. But, yeah, again, if they can trade him, that'd be great. That'd be great. It really would be, man. Look at my man Tyler checking in. Tyler Mraz, man, doing big things, man. Doing big things over on that Jersey sports scene. I say it, he's all over that New Jersey sports scene, man. Tyler says, my guy's spot on with Cassie Swerves. Whoever stays is full-time DH. Easy. One of those, Tyler. One of those, Tyler. Shout out to Tyler for holding it down when I was trying to build Heat Ratio Sports for all his time and efforts, which was amazing. Coming out, doing live shows with me, calling in. Fantastic, man. Fantastic. He had some great opportunities, and I'm glad he's taking advantage of them. For real. Great to see you checking in, Tyler. And shout out to your mom, too. I just saw she retired. So shout out to your mom, to Mrs. Mraz as well, for putting in all her time and not getting to put her feet up and enjoy her retirement. Make sure my man Frank takes it easy on her, man. Make sure I better take it easy on her. Tommy says he was a late blooming player, did not have a great minor league stats either. Yeah, he really was. I just didn't really believe he was 29. EJ says Miller. Oh yeah, Miller's a future third baseman. 100%, man. I think Bohm is going. Rich says I do too. I think he'll be packaged in something. I do. I think he'll be able to be packaged in something. Thomas, when do you think Bryce will take over as a full-time DH? You know what? I think it all depends on the structure of the team next year. Honestly, I think it all depends. And it also all depends on first base. I think it's gonna. There's a lot of moves that can be made and not necessarily have to be made, but I think there's a lot of moves that can really, decide basically the future of Bryce Harper, whether it's going to be right field, whether it's going to be first base, whether it's going to be DH. The problem with Bryce, though, Tommy, to me, is it's never going to be his fielding that I'm worried about. It's just going to be the bat, man, the violent swing. I'm always going to worry about the back injuries, the oblique injuries. Now we have, the wrist. I mean, you're talking about, essentially since he's been here three seasons where they've been very injury riddled. So, as much as I love Bryce, you're starting to see the body break down a little bit, and that's not a great thing. So, if he's just getting up there, I don't think it matters. I mean, yeah, maybe it gives him a little more time to rest, and we could say, at that age, possibly be like, all right, look, you know what? If we get him out of the field and we just put him as a full-time DH, maybe we prolong a couple years, but I don't know, man. I don't know. I'm gonna be honest with you. I don't know. I think it could be coming up though. I definitely think it'd be coming up. It definitely could be coming up. I want to go back up here before we get out of here to a question. I had a wrestling question. I had another question. Oh, Vegas says, are you in favor of salary cap in Major League Baseball? Yes. I definitely think listen, the salary cap in any sports league just keeps everything flowing the right way. Right. And I think it actually makes it more interesting. You see what teams really have an understanding of it. I mean, you see what's happening in the NFL, right? With Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, they've mastered the salary cap. And, I think the NBA salary cap is a little crazy with the way they make their moves and with dead money and things of that nature, but at least it gives them structure. And I say all the time, it's all about structure. You have to have structure, man. You have to have structure. So I definitely would be a huge advocate for a salary cap. He's got a wrestling question. He says, wrestling question, is this a make or break pay-per-view for AEW coming up next Saturday? I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping Paige wins. My favorite AEW wrestler, trying to get the title off of Max. I don't know if it makes or breaks AEW. Honestly, because how do I say this the right way? So it's all about booking, right? That's always your talent is your talent, but your booking is what makes your federation. Your booking is what makes your organization. So your booking allows your storytelling to work. Your booking allows your gimmicks to work. Your booking allows your character development to continue to work. And I think the biggest issue in AEW was always the booking, and I think it's gotten better. I do. I really do. And I think that unfortunately, the biggest mistake that they made was with MJF. I think that was a huge blunder. MJF was basically must-see TV. MJF was must-see TV. And there was a 6 to 7, 8 month time where all I wanted to watch was MJF. I wanted to hear what he was going to say. He had that Rock territory, right? The 90s Rock. That's who MJF was, man. He was the 90s Rock. He was the 2000s John Cena. Like, he was the guy at the promo stage that you wanted to listen to. And they screwed it up. Right? Now they have him as a sideshow. Stupid, in my opinion. Completely stupid. He should be your guy that's constantly with the promos and the main events, always going back and forth the title. Him, Kenny Omega, Hangman Page, right? I think they are the guys that need to always be Samoa Joe. Is it like they were the guys that should have been your nucleus right there, man? Right? So I think they screwed up that booking. In my opinion, they screwed the booking up, and I think that's why you're seeing a flawed product at times. Now they're killing the booking with Tony Storm, and Mercedes Moné. A lot of people are killing the Mercedes Moné thing. I'm not. I love it. Keep giving her belts, man. Keep giving her belts. Just keep giving what I love. Listen, I was always a huge Sasha Banks fan. I loved that character specifically made by Dusty Rhodes. Um, Fantastic. It went over like nothing I've seen for a woman, at that time. So that legit boss theme was it, man. That was it. She was listen. The only reason why Jade Cargill is Jade Cargill is because Sasha Banks was Sasha Banks. I'm going to be honest with you. Because of the Sasha Banks character, is because of that character is the only reason why Jade Cargill got the hype that she did was because of Sasha Banks. And I say that because Sasha she put that charisma on the map. Okay. She put that legit boss on the map. And if it wasn't already taken, Jade Cargill wouldn't be the Storm. She would be the legit boss. But the only reason why she's not is because obviously it was taken. But I should say the only reason why she is because of Sasha Banks. And again, now Mercedes Moné, whatever she is, doesn't matter. The CEO, listen, man, you can say whatever you want about her mic skills. She may mess up a word here or there. I don't really care. For me, top performer in my book. Like, I'm always going to be a Mercedes Moné fan. Always going to be a Sasha Banks fan. Love every minute of it. Vegas says the women are so much better looking and at wrestling these days compared to when I was a kid. I'm 52. I'm 47. Okay. And listen, my wife will tell you all day long, I'd much rather watch Tiffany Stratton than watch the Fabulous Moolah. Right? I mean, come on. I mean, I think it's obvious, right? But again, what I will say though is just the style is just so different. I'm I'm not lying. Exactly. Exactly. But what I will say though, on a serious note, is I do like that they went away from the diva name and went with women's wrestling. Women's division, not the diva division. I just always thought that was a disrespect to the women's division because I get. Listen, listen. We all know in the Vince McMahon era and the Attitude Era with the Braun Page matches and the pillow fights and the Jello swims and all that kind of crap, and everybody loved it with the puppies and everybody loved it. I get it, right? That was a time. It was a vibe then, but they weren't the actual wrestlers. They were the entertainers. Right? No disrespect to like Kelly, but she couldn't hold a candle to these wrestlers like a Tiffany Stratton nowadays, or or a Trinity, or obviously Charlotte Flair and Bailey. Like again, and a lot of that comes with the whole NXT training in the performance center and the time these women put in. So I'm looking forward to the Evolution pay-per-view number 2. I'm very, very, very very excited about it. Vega says, right, like the lady George Clooney ended up with. Listen, man, George Clooney had his time, man, for real. I think there's still time with MJF. He just needs to get back in the title picture, and I think he will win as soon as Paige wins. He needs to get back in the title picture, and he needs to be the guy. He definitely needs to be the guy, 100%. Vegas says the NFL CBA is up in 2031. They will try to get rid of these void years. Yes, I've read that, which the Eagles have mastered for sure, and they will add on 18th game and 2 bye weeks. Yeah, listen, there's always loopholes in these CBAs, and I remember the reason why is, and I'll go into storytelling for the last couple minutes here, but I'm a former board member, committee man for the United Steelworkers (USW). So that in another life I was a committee man, financial secretary, treasurer, e-board. I negotiated contracts. I've read contract language, and there's always gray areas. Always. Both sides want gray areas. Union wants gray areas, company wants gray areas. So the CBA, you're right, Vegas. I agree that they're going to get rid of those void, but there's going to be also there's going to be other gray areas, okay, that they'll look to exploit. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, so you're right. They'll get rid of the way that they've, the Eagles have been able to master those voided years, but there'll be other gray areas, I guarantee. And Howie and company will final for sure. Eric says, thought on Philly getting a WNBA team. Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. I'm a huge advocate for women in sports. I love it. As a girl dad, watching my daughter come up through the ranks, whether it be basketball, soccer, softball, cheerleading. And I've given my thoughts on this before, and I continue to say it. All the fights that we had to do as coaches. I coach girls a lot, and growing up through the system, and the fights that we had to, for field time, for uniforms. We were always the last, always, right? Everybody got their time except the girls. And they needed coaches like myself and my staff as advocates to make sure that they got it. So I'm so happy that we're able to do this, and I love it. You know why? I love that that number one, that we're getting the Philly team, and for the WNBA. It's just because it's going to go with this city, right? I mean, the biggest thing about the WNBA is they still play with passion. They still play every game like it's their last. You see that picture, or I should say right there on the other side. Okay, there you go, right there. AI for Allen Iverson. Talk about in Philly playing every game like it's his last. Those women in the WNBA play every game. They don't wait till the playoffs to turn it on. They play every game like it's a playoff game. So I'm excited, especially what we have to watch with the Sixers. I know we have to wait till 2030, but I'm extremely excited about the WNBA in Philadelphia. My man, yo, bro, I'm up in PA for 2 weeks, July 24th to August 7th. We got yes, we're gonna make that happen, dude, for sure. Like there's no doubt, no doubt. Whether it's a happy hour, whether it's a night, like whatever it is, man, we'll definitely make that happen for sure. I owe you a lot, for real, for all your support over the years, and it'll be nice to catch up and see. You're gonna be a lot taller than me, though, bro. I'm telling you. So that picture that we take is gonna be like Kevin Hart and Shaq. You know what I'm saying? So it'll be pretty funny. But nah, seriously, all love, man. I can't wait. Vegas says they pay people really well to figure out what those gray areas are. You're absolutely right. And Rich says they play in the NBA did in the 80s and the 90s. Talk about the WNBA. LOL. We will sit. Yeah, let's take the picture of the booth. How's that? Take the picture of the booth. Any early teammates? How about the Philadelphia Bells? I know the easy one is, like Rich says, the Philly Johns, the Philadelphia Bells. I don't know, man. Like I wish Liberty wasn't taken. Um, honestly, I think like names like Freedom and stuff are kind of cliche, but I really think that you have to think about some kind of moniker that really drives home Philadelphia. And again, I don't know what that's going to be, or how you do it, but I really, really like something. um I don't want something like Jones or nothing like that. I know it's a Philly, but I don't want anything like that. The Indies, Philadelphia Indies, not feeling it. Short for Independence. Yeah, I get it. Um, Philadelphia Stallions. That's not a bad Stallions. I like that. I like the word Stallions, man. Like cheesesteaks, the Philadelphia cheesesteaks, man. Like nah, I don't have to think about it. I definitely think that there's going to be a lot of options for us. I do feel that way. Um, so I think if we go back and we look at what the Betsy Ross house and um Willie Penn. and Ben Frank. I think the Philadelphia Benjamins. Who doesn't love a Philly cheesesteak? As long as they do it right, Vegas. As long as they do it right. I know there were some. I think it was Kyle Pagan from Cross and Broad tweeted out the other night that people from San Diego were eating a cheesesteak with a fork, weren't even touching the roll. The best part of the cheesesteak is the roll, and they didn't even touch the roll, and they were just eating the meat like with a steak, with a fork. Now, what I will say is maybe they were on the Atkins diet, right, where it was just all meat. Maybe it was all meat. I don't know. I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Hopefully, that's what it was. Maybe it was just all meat, right? But I will say that cheesesteak is definitely defined by the roll, right? And a lot of good cheesesteaks in Phillies, man. They were allergic to gluten or some new age BS. A lot of good cheesesteaks in Philly, but I'll tell you the best cheesesteak for me was the ones I made on my own. So, um, honestly, so I had a deli around here that gets the really good seated rolls. That's a deli in Richborough called Palante's. Unbelievable, unbelievable sandwiches there. And I'll tell you why their sandwiches are unbelievable. That I'm a really big stickler when it comes to. I don't want a soggy roll. I don't want a lot of grease. I love pizza steaks, and if I can get a pizza steak where the roll doesn't break, and I'm not mired in sauce and dreck, I'm in love. And they make the best pizza steak, man. Like it's amazing. So they sell the seated roll. So I'll go there and I'll buy the seated rolls and I'll go to my spot in Altamonte's, which is another great Italian deli I hear of Bucks County. And I'll buy the sirloin and they already have it prepackaged in the patties. I'll throw it up on the grill. I do my own onions and on the side and my own cheese and I do my thing, man. I do my thing. My kids love it. I think it come out great. I'm a griddle guy. I love cooking on the griddle. So I definitely like my own cheesesteaks for real. I don't need to go buy a $15 cheesesteak. Like I literally, again, I'm not saying I won't. And I will tell you this: if you're gonna put me on spot and say where am I getting my cheesesteak from, if it's got to be Joe's, right? For me, it's got to be Joe's. So many times go down there and on Girard because it used to be in my what do you call it, in my own area down in Philly, and then they moved down to Girard, and I go there before a game, grab one. They're amazing. Always been amazing. Vegas, happy 4th of July. Be safe. Make sure not to no Jason Pierre Pauls, man. No Jason Pierre Pauls for me, brother. I'm not blowing any fingers off. Rich says I make mine on the Blackstone. And again, happy 4th to you too as well, Vegas, for real. Thanks for checking in as always. Yeah, I listen, I don't have a Blackstone, I have a Weber. So I'm a big Weber guy. So I got the Weber 330 special edition grill, and then I waited. I was going to buy a Blackstone, but I saw Weber was coming out with the griddle, so I waited and I bought the Weber. And it's the best thing I ever bought. So I use that thing so much for everything. Breakfast, man. It's not like cooking a pound and a half of fresh bacon on a griddle, man. I'm telling you, there's nothing like it, man. Nothing like it. I cook all my pork roll in there, my scrapple. Yeah, scrapple because my wife can get me some killer scrapple ready to put on there. And my bacon, my ham, love ham steaks. So a lot of good things. I'm gonna be cooking a lot tomorrow. Can't wait. Yeah, it's formerly known as Chinks. Yeah, Chinks used to be Chinks when I went there, and then it changed to Joe's. When I went there as a kid, I should say, and it changed to Joe's because of all the legal parameters. But same steak, man. Same steak. Perfect. Perfect. Very, very good. Eric says Jim's in Northeast Philly, which used to be in the Roosevelt Mall. It may still be there. I'm not sure. Or South Street is one of my favorites. Jim's is a good one. Jim's is really, really good. But I'm a Steve's Prince of Steaks guy. Always will. I'm not a Geno's guy. Sorry. Not a Pat's guy. Sorry. I know the biggest crave now, Skinny Joey's. I don't know. Haven't been there. I don't know if I'll be down there. Have no idea. I don't want to wait in line for an hour for a cheesesteak. It's not my thing. I don't care if they give me free wings or not. I really don't want to wait that long. So, but I'll get down there and try it for sure once it settles down a little bit. Um, I think their biggest thing is the seasoning. I'm not sure, but yeah, I'll get there. Rich says I took a couple of Bears players to Joe's. My son's friend is the equipment manager for the Bears. Oh, sweet. That's awesome. Listen, Joe's an awesome guy too, man. So yeah, he's been doing it for a long time. He's been doing it for a long time, man. That's awesome, man. So your son's friend is the equipment manager for the Bears. That's pretty cool. Tell him Caleb Williams is on my list, man. He's on my fantasy list here. Top 3 quarterback this year. I'm telling you. Go Caleb Williams. But listen, man, I'm gonna get out of here. Hour and 25. See this what happens? Hour and 25 minutes. Man, I thought I was gonna come on here for a half hour. It goes hour and 25 solo. That's right, baby. Solo. So all them people out there running them 4-box shows. Okay, I can do what you could do just on my own. It's all good. But now I'm just kidding. But listen, as always, man, I appreciate everybody's support, everybody checking in, having some great conversation. Continue again to follow this YouTube page, like, subscribe, having a lot of fun with it. Again, you see on the bottom, Fighting for Overtime podcast. Go check it out, Fighting for Overtime podcast. That is starting to grow as well. Actually bringing somebody on with me, hopefully next week, to help me behind the scenes. Do some things, and I already have a couple sponsors lined up that align with my message on that podcast. So can't wait to announce those as well. And again, like I say all the time, if you have a business and you need some help, let me know. Also, if you're looking to get into the business when it comes to start your own stream up, start your own, what equipment you need. How do I do clips? How do I promo it? How do I promote it? How do I get domains? How do I do this? How do I do that? Before you go on Fiverr and hire a robot, just send me a message, man. Just send me a message. I appreciate it. Look, my man Rich second. It says, I listen to all of them so far on Podbean. I appreciate it. Listen, I love, just so everybody knows, the reason why I love Podbean is because for my $15 or $20 a month that I pay for hosting. I know everybody likes the free stuff, but they actually give you a website, which is nice. So, everything is added to the website. And the best thing about the website is you can listen to them on a Podbean, or it's got everywhere it's distributed right there for anybody. So if they're a Apple person, a Spotify, whatever they are, they can just click on it and listen to it right there. It's very, very simple. So I enjoy Podbean for that specific reason. I won't be going anywhere else. Podbean, it is for me. Listen, stay safe, everybody. If you're going to drinking, don't drive. Okay, I was just going to say if you're going to drink and drive, hopefully you don't drink and drive. But if you're going to have a drink, if you're going to have 2, make sure you Uber. And I say this all the time, and I'll continue to say it, man, for real. And I mean this with all seriousness. I live in the Bucks County area. Very easy to find. If you're in the area, if you're in the Philly area, I will be home tomorrow. So if you're out there drinking it up and you feel like you don't have a ride, or you feel like you can't get to where you, please listen, man, hit me up. I'm very easy to find. DM me, whatever you need to do. I'll make sure that you get taken care of, man. I don't want anybody out there drinking and driving, man, because you're not only harm yourself, but somebody else as well. Eric says, happy for Tony. Stay safe, brother. Have a great weekend too. Go Phillies. Let's win another series. Yes, I can't wait. I'm going to have some great time with family tomorrow. Watch the Phillies, swim a little bit, eat, get fatter. You know what I mean? But hey, it is what it is. All right, everybody. As always, everybody have a fantastic evening. It is early 4th of July, so happy 4th. Go have fun, make some memories and moments, and we'll catch you back here on the Cutillo Show.